Hey there, you guys. So, my name is Cameron Geller, and like many of you that may be watching, I am a fellow Khan Academy user. I love everything about their website, their philosophy, what they've created, and where they're hoping to take things in terms of innovating modern day education. And being inspired by all of these opportunities over the past several months that I've begun to use Khan Academy, I really wanted to reach out to a lot of people out there who feel like they really can't be an accomplished student or just a person that's successful in this modern day of education overall. And so I wanted to create this video to help inspire those people and really show them what Khan Academy has done for me. Now, I tend to talk a lot and I can easily ramble on for all eternity. And so before creating this video, I decided to put down all the thoughts I wanted to share with you guys into a clearly constructed Word document that would help me to easily elucidate my thoughts and background without having to spend way too much time making a huge video. And so I'm going to try to make this no longer than a typical Salman Khan instructional video, and I hope it can inspire anybody that watches this. So I'm just going to go ahead and read this because I didn't memorize it, so I'm sorry if my eyes turn away from the screen, but yeah. Throughout my entire academic career, starting with middle school and continuing onward until my graduation from college, I endured many great academic and personal struggles that made school one of my least favored and lower tiered priorities for a very long time. Most of my grades in middle school were D's and F's. It was difficult to maintain any motivation in school and recognize any potential within myself to do better, when many of the teachers around me seemed they could care less about my failing grades as well as my ability to improve upon those grades and myself overall. When I got to high school, I was fortunate enough that my family and I were able to move away from this terrible background, in this not so great school, and we were able to move into a city that had a more well-rounded education system. And so when I got to high school, my grades began to get better, but I still never really cared much for school, and it wasn't on the top of my priority list. When I entered ninth grade, I had a biology teacher who had become one of my most well-remembered instructors and mentors to this day. Although I still cared nothing at all for math and science at this time, I became extremely and unexpectedly determined to pass this class with a C or better. Every single night I would study as hard as I could, still unsure of why I even cared to put forth such effort in the first place. After persevering through what seemed the impossible, I was very happy to be able to pass the class with a C, while many of my peers around me had actually failed. Although I was neither scientifically nor mathematically inclined towards the material back then, I maintained a desire to see my goal of passing with a C through to the end, no matter what it took. It was really hard for me to get through this material because neither of my parents had graduated from college, and neither of them had gone into a profession that involved heavy math or science, and so a lot of this material they really couldn't help me with, and so that's why I really admire this teacher for helping me to reach my potential. When I finally graduated from high school, I only applied for colleges because I didn't have any other plans for myself in terms of what I wanted to do. My SAT score was average, and I had done hardly any extracurricular activities. In my eyes, I felt my competitiveness as a college applicant to be little to none when looking around at my fellow peers and their academic backgrounds. Fortunately, I was able to get accepted into California State University Northridge, even though I had applied 3 months after the deadline. By the time my first semester of college began that fall, I had already changed my major from business administration to psychology before I'd even taken my first class as a freshman. And clearly, this mentality of uncertainty that I had, it was going to end up staying with me for several years in college. When I first began my undergraduate career that fall, I had chosen a major in psychology because I thought I wanted to become a psychiatrist. I still can't really pinpoint to this day what prompted me to decide to go into medicine in the first place. And my best guess is that it must have been my 9th grade biology teacher and how much he inspired me and showed me what I was capable of. Once I began taking my introductory courses in biology and chemistry, I began to develop what to this day has become a lifelong passion and curiosity for both math and science. There was just one problem. I had a great difficulty in understanding almost everything and anything within my textbooks and lectures. And no matter how hard I tried, I'd continually receive grades in most of those math and science courses with nothing more than a C. And again, just coming from my own high school background, I never really focused that much on my math and science classes, and so it was hard to retain anything that I'd even barely passed in the first place. It was even more difficult to find time for studying because I was having to work a lot of hours at my job in order to help contribute to several expenses at home, such as my old car that was constantly breaking down. After receiving such constant academic disappointment, I became very tempted to either switch my major to something else or drop out of college altogether. Throughout my college career, my grades would continue to take a turn for the worst. It was at this point in my life that I reached rock bottom, both academically and personally. After losing so much, not only in school, but in my personal life as well, I felt like I had nothing left to lose or gain. At this time, I got in contact with one of my friends from college. She told me about a pre-medical co-ed fraternity on campus that she was a part of. She said they would be hosting an info night in the early spring, and that I should check it out. After attending the info night, I was very impressed with the organization and what they stood for. After attending their other events, I decided to join this fraternity, hoping that the organization and the people within it could help me turn my life around. Throughout the remainder of my spring semester, I would still continue to struggle greatly within my math and science classes. I continued my participation in the fraternity and began my fall semester with more optimism within myself, believing that I could do well in my classes as well as my life in general. Although my struggle continued in math and science, I never lost my love for them. This perseverance and passion would become one of the core foundations that would allow me to accomplish what came next. That fall, I took a biology course as well as a physics course. During that fall semester, I also decided to ask out my same friend who had introduced me to this fraternity on a date. This is the first time I had ever been on a date, and at the end of the semester, it would also be the first time that I would achieve straight A's. And since then, my friend and I have remained together for the past 3.5 years. And I can't imagine where I'd be without her loving guidance as a constant support to me in everything that I have done since. Thanks to the amazing friendships and guidance that I received from that fraternity, as well as my girlfriend and her support, I was able to see the potential within myself. And by the time I graduated, I would go on to maintain a 3.8 GPA average for the final 3 years of my undergraduate career. After graduating from college in June 2014 with a Bachelor's of Science degree in microbiology, I took a 2-week break to relax from school and spend time with families and friends celebrating my accomplishments. After my 2-week break was over, I began what would become a 4-month journey of studying for my MCAT exam. During this time, I began to realize how much information I was lacking in my knowledge of math and science. Because even though I'd already made some great improvements in my overall understanding of these subject areas within the last 3 years of my undergrad, there was still a great deal of fundamental foundation that I was lacking due to my first few years of struggle in college. After pouring through over 1,400 pages of MCAT prep course material twice over, in addition to the prep course that I had signed up for, I finally took my exam last September. After receiving my score, I wasn't surprised by how I did, but I was still rather disappointed. Because as hard as I had tried to do well, I was unable to achieve a score above the 50th percentile. But reflecting on my earlier tales of academic disappointment and failure, I knew that I still loved the world of medicine and the math and science that so beautifully illustrated its interwoven mechanisms. I was not going to let a thing such as a not-so-great MCAT score deter me from my dreams of becoming a doctor. After taking my exam, I took a couple of weeks of much-needed relaxation and decided to apply with the company Tutor Doctor as a math and science tutor. It was during this time that I would come upon a discovery that would become my brand new infatuation. As I began to tutor my very first student, I looked online for resources that could help me to tutor him in algebra. Because it had been so long since I had taken the course myself, I needed a bit of a refresher first. It was then that I came across Khan Academy. From that initial discovery 4 months ago to this very moment right now, I have become completely enamored with Khan Academy. Not only have the videos helped me to become an accomplished tutor, per what my students have told me and how they have praised me to my bosses, but these videos in Khan Academy, they've also allowed me to fill in a great deal of mathematical and scientific gaps that existed in my knowledge and understanding up to that very point in time. In addition to the video content, I've become more and more interested with Khan Academy and what they stand for. From the countless interviews of Salman Khan that I've watched online, to his book that I'm reading, The One World Schoolhouse, I've found a company whose methodology and philosophy aligns perfectly with what I'm hoping to aspire to do in becoming a doctor. And thanks to everything that Khan Academy has offered, I've not only begun to tutor students in algebra, but also subjects that include biology, chemistry, physics, geometry, algebra 2, pre-calculus, and middle school mathematics. Now, I know this video is a little long, but I just want to really take this time to tell everyone that's using Khan Academy that I hope my story inspires you to see that you can come from a disadvantaged background where you weren't given the tools and resources that you needed to help utilize your maximum potential. But as long as your curiosity stays alive, you can really accomplish anything. And if I'm lucky enough myself, I hope to one day be able to work alongside with Khan Academy to reach out to students like all of you so that we can all work together to allow everyone and anyone, as Salman Khan's philosophy entails, to really achieve a world-class education. Thanks a lot, you guys.